brought to you by Ardecor. We keep you covered. And Horizon Recording Live. Live sound for your events.
I have a question.
All right, let's go.
What day is it? What year is it?
I think
Because
it's
last I
2018.
checked, that crappy hand that he was dealt was 3 years ago.
Well, then it's the McCaskies that should really care.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many jobs can we have where I can just light money on fire and just keep my job? I would like that gig. $9 million.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't agree more.
Says,
I'm laughing.
Again, it's everywhere
It's like
you turn.
common sense.
It doesn't make any
Common
sense.
Mismanaging money.
No, you're wrong. Ryan Pace is the greatest Bears GM in the last
Of our
20 years.
lifetime.
Hire him?
Anyone who passes on Deshaun, who trades up to pass on Deshaun Watson, is an idiot. Sharon Gilbert.
Oh, yeah.
How do you even remember that?
If you find yourself
The
in a
encyclopedia.
situation where it's 3rd and 13 and you need a guy that can jump out of a pool, Jerry Angelo has got your man.
Welcome to Comeback Liner. Today is our NFL Draft Special, and we actually have a special guest today, Mike B. Welcome to the group.
Thanks for having
me. And we have our normal hosts, Kyle and Sinan. And in celebration of launching our merch store, we are going to have a subscriber raffle. And we will announce the winner next show and give you free merch. So please mash that subscribe button right down there, and you'll get your shirt. All right, so for this episode, we'll talk about the NFL draft and the NFL offseason. It's coming up on Thursday. So who's excited for the NFL draft here?
I've only been looking forward to it for basically the last 12 months, so yeah, I would say I'm looking forward to it.
Mike's thing is, the draft ends last year. He's already prepped for this year.
I was looking at mocks. I'm looking at 2019 mocks. I mean, what the heck are you even talking about?
He doesn't even watch any football games. He only
He doesn't care about the
I
actual
don't care what
game.
happens on the field.
Well, it's been a crazy offseason. I think we all know that. And our favorite Bears have made some interesting signings. We signed Allen Robinson to finally replace Alshon Jeffrey for a couple of years ago. And there's some interesting things. So I'll just throw this up to our guest. Mike, what are your favorite and least favorite moves of this offseason?
Oh, man. Favorite move. So, I mean, we knew that going into this offseason was going to be a big one for Pace. It's been now 3 years, and he needed to make some big splashes. And the favorite move is going to be obvious. This is kind of a no-brainer, but it was one he had to make, and that's Allen Robinson. Even though he's coming off the ACL, you had no choice. When he is healthy, he is a legitimate number one, top 10 receiver in the league. I mean, he made the corpse that is Blake Bortles look good. Hey, look, I'll even say myself, I at one point thought Blake Bortles was a good quarterback.
Did he?
Not afraid to admit, but
Was he single-handedly responsible for that Bortles contract this year?
well, that one
Well,
I
that's right,
don't
he
think
didn't
so.
play this
But
year.
yeah, he didn't. Yeah, he didn't play. I didn't actually
That's
play.
what shows
but
you. Bortles got some magic.
Yeah, Bortles actually did well without him.
I wouldn't say he did well. I say he existed. But I would say Leonard Fournette and a defense that was stacked with top 10 picks.
That number one defense kind of carried him the whole way.
It's the QB that makes the running back. Let's get that straight.
The QB makes the running back.
No, I'm just
You
joking.
know how we've been on this show. I mean, we kind of all ripped Nick Foles thinking he was going to be awful, and look what happened. So
Yeah.
Well,
So,
maybe we shouldn't rip on quarterbacks on
so
the
the
show
goal is
anymore.
to have a horrible quarterback and win the Super Bowl. If you have not realized, that is the key to success.
I mean, look, in the
apparently.
state of this NFL, sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good. And
Yeah.
Look, Nick Foles, if you can win with him, good for you. I'd rather have somebody better.
See, me personally, I am stoked that we have Allen Robinson. I think it was killer. I heard he was definitely in the running for a lot of different teams. I heard the 49ers really wanted him, a couple other teams. And the Bears, you got to give Ryan Pace credit. When he wanted a guy, he got him. And you can't really say that too many times during his tenure, but I am a big fan of Allen Robinson. I think he's going to be killer for us. I think it's going to be really good for Mitch. And hopefully he could be the Alshon Jeffrey replacement we decided to give away when we let him go. Or he didn't want to play for us, which I don't blame him. So
Well, and you look at him as when he's full speed, he's a faster, younger version of Alshon Jeffrey that you got at pretty much the same price. Again, you got to assume his knee's healthy, but if that is the case, then that's what you're getting. And it really he broke the bank in the sense that he gave him a lot of money, but he didn't cripple you in the sense of it wasn't too long of a deal. And really, Robinson could cash in at the end of this deal too. He can cash in a second time if it pays off. So he
Now, is he a buy low at this point?
Well, I don't know if you can say it's a buy low because you still did give him the top contract of the offseason.
Didn't he get similar to Devontae Adams, like restructured?
He got just a little bit less than Adams. So and they're about the same age. Adams might be a little bit faster. Robinson probably is a little bit better the jump ball game, but that's not a bad comparison.
I mean, let's be honest here. Who would you rather have, Devontae Adams or Allen Robinson at this point for the same rate?
Who's my quarterback? Aaron Rodgers?
Jay Cutler.
All things equal, I like the Allen Robinson pick a little more. I think he has a little more upside than Devontae Adams. I think Devontae Adams has the luxury of a better quarterback, so I think he might have reached the ceiling. Allen Robinson put those numbers up with Bortles, so
yeah,
I'll take the
it'll
higher.
be really
I'll take
interesting
the
to
higher
see what he
ceiling.
can put up. Because what do you have? 1,400
He
yards,
had 1,400
2
yards and 14 TDs.
Oh, and what do you think is his specialty as a wide receiver? If you had to what's the closest comp in the NFL? You'd say
I'm comparing him to Jeffrey. He really is pretty similar to Jeffrey, but he's got better top end speed than Jeffrey.
Because that was always his downfall is the separation with Jeffrey.
I think Jeffrey, he definitely had a lot of catching problems. I feel like he dropped a lot of balls. When he was
Really?
Bears.
I always thought he had great hands.
He does, but it's sometimes he'd have the concentration lapse.
Yeah, exactly.
Concentration drop.
So it's
Yeah.
not-
And he was just
More
turning
mental
really
than a
quick.
physical thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, his hands are as big as my head. I mean, he's got good hands. But
Well, how many highlights have you guys seen where Jeffrey is just grabbing that ball,
yeah.
and like letting it go, like not letting it go for the dear life of him, and then it's just like, wow, how would he stay in bounds? How did he not ball?
And turn on some tape of Allen Robinson in 2016, and it's Blake Bortles overthrowing him by 10 yards, and Robinson comes down with it anyway.
Well, he did exist, and
Yeah.
that's all I needed
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
up 1,400 yards.
So I think since we're on the receiver topic, then what about Cameron Meredith and the Bears not trying to make an effort to sign him?
Kyle, what do you think about? I'm gonna leave this because he's gonna have a rant on this one.
Well, to be honest with you, I think they kind of screwed the pooch on the way they handled the pooch.
I feel bad for that pooch.
However, there's no way Meredith's worth $9 million.
What?
I don't think so.
That's chump change for freaking NFL teams.
Yeah, but if you look at the Bears, don't they have like 31% of their cap tied up in wide receiver and tight end?
It doesn't matter when you have like 20 million more to burn, though. Let's
Yeah.
be honest.
But you've
here.
got a
I mean,
bunch
I
of
think they're
holes.
sitting at 24 million now.
But you've got to still. This team has a ton of holes yet.
Well, I still think wide receiver is a bit of a need, though, despite of all the resources you put at the position. So you're one injury away from being last year.
So
That's true.
From what I hear, you're not happy that Benny Fowler is the replacement for Cam Akers.
Well, I mean, okay. I guess he says to himself, well, I'll take Benny Fowler at basically the same price, and he doesn't have the knee injury. But if we're going to use the knee injury as the excuse, then why are you giving $40 million to Allen Robinson? So that doesn't really fly. And if you didn't want Cameron Meredith, then don't give him a tender at all. If you just wanted to say, I think he's hurt, I don't want to bring him back, he doesn't fit the system, whatever excuse you wanted to make, then just say, I'm not giving you a tender at all. But he gives him a $1.9 million tender inexplicably when you could have just given him $2.9 million. What's $1 million between friends? We're a $1 billion organization here. Just give him $2.9 million, and then if he gets hurt, it doesn't matter. You're out. He's out after a year anyway.
What if Ryan Pace came back and told you that he wasn't a big fan of Cam Meredith, though?
Then why did you give him any offer at all? No matter which direction he takes this, it doesn't. What he didn't make any sense.
It made no sense.
Yeah.
You're right. In a sense, like if they didn't offer them the 2.9, they don't get the draft pick compensation for it.
Right.
But does he get the contract offer if he has the 2.9 attached?
No, he certainly does. I think no, he doesn't. So but again, all the more reason why you don't give him. He didn't want to be locked into him at $2.9 million.
I mean, I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't
But
agree
he
more.
says,
I'm laughing.
Again, it's
It's
everywhere
like
he's
common
hurt.
sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
And it's like, if he doesn't like Cameron Meredith, that's a bigger problem with Pace than I have. Because Cameron Meredith.
Oh, this is a good segue then. See, now, what do you think about Ryan Pace's tenure with the Chicago Bears?
I don't know what it is, but the media and all these GMs still praise him. But I honestly.
What is with that? Does he have connections everywhere? Where he's just like
no
giving
idea
hand jobs in the
why.
back? What is going on?
He smiles a lot. He's pretty jovial guy.
Is he
I
still
guess he's
considered
likable.
a young GM at this point?
I believe he is still the youngest in the league. I'm pretty sure.
So do you think they're
definition
just
of
giving
young
him
to me.
like the benefit of the doubt because you're just young and stupid? Or
Well, I don't know of many media members in the Chicagoland area that give too many benefits of any doubt for anybody, anytime, anywhere.
Yeah.
So why he would get it, I don't know.
I mean,
pictures of his
for
people's
every
lives.
Yeah.
for every
But
good
maybe.
move that somebody can name, and I will name you 3 bad moves, and I'm being conservative.
See,
Yeah.
what I think you guys are totally underappreciating Ryan Pace.
Mismanaging money.
No, you're wrong. Ryan Pace is the greatest Bears GM in the last
Of our
20 years.
lifetime?
Well,
In our life.
Yeah, I mean, he might be.
that might be in our lifetime. That is true.
It's like the Jay Cutler syndrome. He's still the best quarterback.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we still lose. What the hell, man? But no, but for real, I think Ryan Pace has gone under the radar. I think you guys are totally trashing him. It's undeserved. The guy has been clearly dealt a horrible hand. Let's be honest here. Coming back from Phil Emery. No, don't worry, you have your chance. Phil Emery, I actually thought was okay at the time, but then obviously
Well,
when
that's
you
'cause
make Mark
love
Trent,
Jay Cutler.
when you I mean the only guy in the world that wanted Jay Cutler and he gave him all that money.
I think Jay Cutler got a bad rap, but we can talk
Yeah,
about it.
beside the point. My point is that he was dealt a horrible hand. When you have Mark Trestman, you choose Mark Trestman, a Canadian football coach, over Bruce Arians, the next year's coach of the
He
year.
had him in the building. He was coach of the year that year.
I'm just saying.
But he didn't sign him because he interviewed poorly
The
with
media interview.
He
Yeah, the
couldn't,
media
do the media interview.
I regress. Oh, sorry, man. I didn't mean to do that. By the way, this is him pointing out in a text message that he wanted Dak Prescott.
Yeah, so if anyone's questioning my draft credentials, right here I call it the morning of, as I'm watching Ryan Pace drafting Nick Kwiatkowski and DeAndre Hall, who have played. DeAndre Hall didn't even play at all last year. Kwiatkowski is a player who can play on the
Well, he
field.
does
and
exist, for
run
sure.
around.
Phil,
we actually have seen
and
that
I
jersey
said
on the
Dak
field.
Prescott.
that's right. He said Dak Prescott.
Well, anyways, so the card that Ryan Pace was delivered was Mark Trestman's Bears. And let's be honest here, that was a total disaster. That was the most embarrassing
second
situation
year.
I've probably seen in
Then
a long time.
how about what? Okay, let me ask you one question. From all the free agency signed last year, how many are still this year's team still?
Doesn't matter. He's rebuilding. It's all moot point.
No.
We were rebuilding the rebuild.
Yeah,
we were rebuilding
yeah.
3 years ago.
Okay,
Now
what
we're
are we
rebuilding
at,
that.
1 or 0?
I think we are at 0 now.
Deion Sims is it?
Is he?
I believe.
Oh, they didn't cut him.
No,
It's
they
called
kept him.
sunk cost, meaning
Ooh.
it's completely irrelevant.
That's
If he
a
blew,
Sunk cost.
That's
if he blew his entire wad on 1 year
the-
deals,
the
I wouldn't
sig-
care because the next year we're
That's
rebuilding.
a $4 million stupid move.
Well, then it's the McCaskies that should really care.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many jobs can we have where I can just light money on fire and just keep my job? I would like that gig. And then get a raise for it on top of it.
All right, so do you have a problem with my perspective?
Yeah, I have a
on,
question. I have a question.
All right, let's go.
What day is it? What year is it?
I think
Because
it's
last I
2018.
checked, that crappy hand that he was dealt was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
This is now Ryan Pace's team, and he has not done anything. That he has been responsible for the worst stretch of Bears football in Bears football. These 3 years, no general manager has lost more games than Ryan Pace. That is an F by anyone's objective grading scale.
Take a look at Pace's #1 picks over the years. How would you grade each individual?
Well, his first round picks, I hated the White pick. I hated the pick. I wanted Vic Beasley. And again, if anyone's questioning my hindsight, I called Dak Prescott, so don't question me on the Vic Beasley. Vic Beasley's the man. Anyone from Clemson, you take. Someone from a Mickey Mouse offense in West Virginia, you don't take. I don't care how fast he runs.
I could confirm in that group text you were very upset with
did
the
not
Kevin
like
White pick.
The Leonard Floyd pick, like Leonard Floyd, good guy, good athlete.
He could stay healthy.
Can't stay healthy. I hated that he traded up for him, and then he traded up for him to pass on Laramie Tunzel. Now, okay, Tunzel's been a little hit and miss, but he was unanimous that he was the better.
You weren't afraid
the better
of him
player.
smoking out of his gas mask?
No, the marijuana gas mask pick. I don't care. There's 85% of the league is smoking marijuana,
I
and
think
half the
yes,
country has it legalized anyway. So nobody cares.
Yeah,
I love
that's a good
it.
point.
Well, Goodell cares because he thinks you should get
Goodell
suspended
cares, yeah.
more
Yeah.
for smoking marijuana than beating your wife.
Yeah, I was just saying, get arrested for domestic violence, and nobody
Yeah,
nobody
so-
bats an
I'm
eye.
gonna investigate for a year.
Yeah.
One picture of you smoking marijuana, you're gone.
You're tossed.
Didn't he like throw her in a bed of weapons too, or something?
No, that was Greg Hardy. You're thinking.
Oh yeah, Greg Hardy. I'm like, wow, these
there's-
guys
now
are really going hard.
That's an upstanding citizen, Greg Hardy. Not only that, he was convicted, and the NFL lets him back in. This wasn't even an accusation. He was convicted in a court. Look it up. I'm not making this up.
Throwing his girl in
Yeah.
a bed of like assault.
Actually, no, he wasn't even. He pled guilty. He pled down, and then Dallas is.
What do they get? 10 games only for that?
All right, so who on this panel likes Ryan Pace? Let's get back to topic here. I am a fan of Ryan Pace. I'm sorry, it looks like I'm going to be trashed on the comments probably, but I'm going to give him some time. I want to see if Mitch pans out.
What's your timeline, I guess, if you like him?
I
Say
think
one more year, 2 more years?
I think in football, you need maybe minimum 2 years to see if his new program actually takes foot. And then he's got a new coach.
Well, he's on year 3, though.
Oh,
Well, he's finally- this is the only-
I think he was forced to have John Fox.
Exactly.
Theo
I agree.
ended the longest drought in history in 4 years, and that's baseball.
I can promise you, Ryan Pace is not Theo Epstein at his job.
Wow, yeah, that I think we can all agree. Yeah.
No, but I think you have a good point. Is I do believe that Fox was kind of forced on him, and Fox is not the head coach you want for a rebuilding team. He was wanting to win games. He wasn't wanting to promote talent.
No, I think I very much disagree. Fox was not forced on him. Fox became available because
Exactly.
he was fired.
Dude.
He was fired from Denver unexpectedly
for winning
and-
13 games.
Yeah, for going to the Super Bowl, and then it speaks to how cowardly Pace is in his decision making because which even at the moment I could even understand it, but in hindsight now he wanted the safe play because Trestman was such a disaster, so he wanted to go with the safe pick, even though word was he liked Dan Quinn better, but he wanted to go with the safe guy in Fox, and holy cow, that was just brutal.
Well, I think Ryan Pace was so forced to have John Fox. He actually had a tweet about me too. Actually, that's how forced upon himself he was with John Fox. Anyways,
I will give you one point, Matt, in that there is something to be said about allowing a general manager to get a second bite at the apple, but this
gotta be the last
is a
bite.
pretty small bite.
I think it's
This is a pretty small bite, and it better be fruitful.
To me,
if you know
Matt
what I'm
Nagy,
saying.
this is it. He has with literally 2 year window. It's the first year we'll give him the whole. Can you make it
The
work?
honeymoon.
The second
That's
year, you got to be in competition for the Super Bowl. You got to be smashing Brady's face in the turf. And I'm not going to be a huge believer, but I really, really hope Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace can make it work because otherwise we are in football hell for the last.
You're in
decade.
big trouble if this doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, the way I look at it right now is if this upcoming draft, he's got to hit in the first 2 rounds because he has not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. He's actually had some pretty good picks later in the draft that have panned out really well.
That added good depth. Yeah.
But he needs to get those first 2 picks to hit. I mean, Whitehair hasn't been bad. I believe he was the second
Dude,
pick last year.
love that.
That's a good pick. That's
Great
certainly a good pick.
And, I mean, you don't know what you have yet with Mitch, but I'm really hoping this year, with everybody having a year under their belt, it shows.
Yeah, I think Pace's problem was his first year's draft. It was
Oh,
really
it's going to kill him.
It's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
kill. Yeah,
It kills
because
him.
the last ones he actually had some decent hits, and then if you look in totality, he's shooting around 50%.
Passing on Dak Prescott probably was not a good idea, and then we'd
But-
be in a heck of a lot better position.
My biggest issue.
We only had 3 4th-round picks, by the way.
Yeah,
that
we
year.
bet- yeah.
That's
3?
not fair.
Yeah.
We only had 3 that year. He passed.
Yeah,
on
I passed on
Dak.
him 3 times. Yeah.
Anyways, go back to see.
No, my biggest issue with Pace is he falters under pressure. Like last year, we signed Glennon, right? The idea was to sit Trubisky, train him, get him a year under. 4 games in, he falters because he gets the pressure. I want a strong GM that's like, this is my plan, this is my goal, I'm sticking to it. I don't care what anybody says. He's got the backing, but he falters anytime there's under pressure. Like, if you're saying he was pressured on John Fox, that's another example.
Yeah.
You don't give a backup quarterback that much money
I
and
can
then
see that.
4 games in, falter. Is Trubisky going to struggle halfway through the year and he's going to make a drastic change? I mean, I need a guy that's going to stick to his guns. At least I can respect if he sticks to his guns and sticks to
What
his
if he
plan.
told you he wanted to, without concern, he was going to take a quarterback that all his scouts were unanimous about as a number 1 quarterback in that draft. You still have a problem with him trading up then, even though because he kept saying, I have conviction amongst all my scouts. This is the guy to take. See, to me personally, when you see it 2, Trubisky's there. Well, you're at 3. You have Watson there also. You have both. Why take that risk? Why get handed underneath the table? Why do you have it just pisses me off. But either way, do you think you have a problem with him picking his scout's favorite pick? Is my question.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things. Yeah, he's one of those big believers. I'm going to draft the best athlete kind of things instead of needs. The rumor is, I don't know how true it is, that John Lynch was really just asking him, are you going to draft my guy or not? Yeah. And he wouldn't answer the question, so that's why John Lynch kept asking for more picks. Yeah. If he just said, no, I wasn't drafting your guy, we might have not given him much. Just said, no, I'm not drafting your guy.
Yeah, I think Lynch totally bent him over.
Lynch did a number on him. And look,
who's also a rookie GM.
Yeah. How many staples and sutures?
Who's been probably suffering from CTE?
I'm sure you can. Yeah, I'm sure that's why you could have.
Life too.
But no, Lynch, I only gave you a 5th round pick. What are you talking about?
I don't ever, Matt. To your point, I can appreciate someone having conviction. Mm-hmm. I just think he's a freaking idiot because he has no idea what he's doing. I mean, that's my bigger problem with him.
You don't trust the people around you when you hire them?
Anyone who passes on who trades up to pass on Deshaun Watson is an idiot. I mean, I watch more college football than any normal human should do, and when you're making that move, you're out of your mind. That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, what did Deshaun Watson do in college to scare people away?
Well, his accuracy.
One too many games just took out the...
It's combines. It's his accuracy. Let's be honest here. When he threw too many picks, it wasn't
too many
Trubisky.
Picks.
Well, okay, if you're
the Bears don't have enough picks.
Okay, if you're gonna try to grade quarterbacks and then you break it down by attributes, Trubisky would be higher than Watson on accuracy. We all agree to that?
Based on college,
based on combine scouting at that given point in time.
Trubisky had 12 games.
I personally think...
They pretty much had to watch high school games.
I'm sorry, 13.
Whoa.
I was off by 1.
I personally think that Trubisky was supposed to be Pace's Drew Brees. That's what he thought in his head. He had delusions of grandeur. Oh my God, it's the next Drew Brees.
Is that
Look at
Cohen
this accuracy.
came in to be Sproles?
Yeah.
No, seriously, I do think he has that Saints mentality. He was just around this, and he's trying to rebuild the Saints.
That's all he knows. Yeah.
And does anyone disagree with that assessment?
No, that's absolutely what he's trying to do. Mm-hmm. He's just done a terrible job. So, and now let's give him another raise. I think it's as the show over, he's probably got another contract extension since the show began.
All right, is there
doing nothing?
Any other final comments on Ryan Pace?
Well, I don't like him. So if I didn't make that clear, I just want to get that in one more time.
I mean, he's a good-looking guy, but football.
Hey, nice guy. Nothing personal. He's a nice guy. He's fired up. He's fired up.
Me and his old man go way back. Nice guy as well.
Yeah, he's a local kid, Eastern Illinois and whatnot. Yeah.
Look, the way I look at it, he doesn't do anything this year. He's got to be on the hot seat next year.
I will say he probably got us 3 starters in free agency. You've got Burton, Gabriel, and Robinson. At the very least, if you get, like you say, if he's on first and second round pick, they got to be starters, and he's going to have a nice deep draft to take from. So then you could have 5 legitimate impact starters, but you got to that's assuming he bats 1,000. Who bats 1,000 anytime, let alone the worst GM in Bears history?
Well, he's had so many offers. He's got to have at least blind score's got to find nuts sooner or later.
Law of averages. That's what he's spitting to the McCaskies. Hey guys, you guys know about law of averages?
The law of averages. The law of averages says you being a shitty GM means you will suck even worse going forward.
By dumb luck, I have to hit.
All right. So going into this draft, this is going to be a huge draft, obviously, because football is number one peace of mind for every sports fan in the world. What are absolute must and must not do's in this draft for the Bears? I'll shoot off to either of you guys.
Do not fall in love with the best athlete.
Okay.
I think we need to draft needs. We need impact players. Honestly, there's a few players that are not in there. It's okay. I would be okay with Pace trading down this time around if the main players that impact players are not available right away.
He must. He does not have the luxury anymore to be taking project players that might be good in 3 years. He must identify the best football player available and take him, because it does not matter what the position is. It is a need on this team, whether it's offensive line, defensive backs, running back, even wide receiver. Any player available fits a need. You better get that board right and just sit there and take it and be done with it, so he can step in and play.
All right. So when you guys bring up addressing needs, then you get into situations like, what if Saquon Barkley falls to us today? Would you even think about passing up on him? But he's not a need. He's not a need, but you said, let's take need.
Wait a minute. Not a need. Do you need the best running back prospect in history?
Well, if you have all-stars on.
Wait, are you saying that the Bears don't need playmakers?
No.
Saquon Barkley is a playmaker,
different.
sir.
Well, we're talking about the position itself. And you don't think we have a couple playmakers
you know what's better? You know what's better than
Jordan Howard?
You have love Jordan Howard. Love him. Tariq Cohen is not a running back. He's an athlete. Great athlete. But the only thing better than one really good running back is two really good running backs. Yes. Kyle knows. And if Saquon Barkley.
Two is the number after one.
It is. Thank you. Some number theory from Sinan. If inexplicably Saquon Barkley, who is, in my eyes, the number one player in the draft, the number one running back prospect that I have ever seen, second probably only to Adrian Peterson, and it would have been Todd Gurley if he hadn't torn up his knee. But Saquon Barkley does not have a flaw. If he was there and I saw Ryan Pace pass on him, I do not even know what I would do.
We would be calling you for a while to make sure you're still there.
He's having trouble finishing that sentence.
No, I would be. I have been left speechless by many a Bears draft. That's not going to happen. We know that's not going to happen. So at least we can put that to bed.
Hold my beer. That's what Ryan Pace is going to tell you.
He trades up to two and then passes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The only way you can make it worse. Yeah. Trade up to maybe watch him pass.
He gave up like 2 first rounds, like his third round and second round.
Yeah, to take Minka Fitzpatrick, who would have just been there anyway. Yeah.
His theory is two good quarterbacks is better than one quarterback.
Yeah, you look at it and we're joking about it, but it's not out of the realm of possibility.
We only laugh because we know it's possible.
Yeah,
I mean, after last year, I think anything's possible. I was really disappointed with that.
We're not creative. It's just possible. We're just bringing out possible.
Well, there's only one running back that's projected to go out in this first round this year, so I just don't see it ever happening in that circumstance.
Well, overall, running backs are not something you want to take in the first round anymore. Yeah. Outside of Barkley being just a generational talent, running backs are kind of dime a dozen and they're good for 4 or 5 years.
And in this draft, running backs very deep. I wouldn't be surprised if we take a running back in the second round, actually.
Really?
We got some. And there's some good ones.
With our needs on our team, you think running back would even be in the realm of possibility?
If it's the best player available, you need to have more weapons on offense is good for your franchise quarterback.
Yeah. I'll be honest, if I can end up with Quentin Nelson, my first pick, I'd still come back with another lineman in my second, too.
Well, I wouldn't argue with that at all.
Well, this is a pretty deep draft for guards, I would say. Guards, QBs.
Well, I don't think it's a deep draft in QBs.
Well, there's 5 that are projected to go in the first round.
Yeah, but
I think that's
quarterbacks are so inflated in value.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, I think it's kind of a mirage. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it, the best 3 players aren't available. Just if you're in the number 1 pick, isn't one of those quarterbacks, but it's going to go one of those 4 quarterbacks.
I only see one good quarterback. I mean, everybody talks about 4 or 5. For me, I only see one, and that's Sam Darnold. Josh Allen's got a high ceiling, but he's also got the lowest floor.
So
talk about it's a big risk, right? Yeah,
I think
that could be a big bust.
But really, Sam Darnold's the only one. Josh Rosen reminds me a lot of Sam Bradford, where I just can see him having a lot of health issues. Just the durability's not there. And he's one of those, his big thing is, he's too smart. Is he going to be interested in football?
Yeah.
I don't hold that against him for being too smart. But
and that he doesn't need the money, they say, correct.
Okay. But the thing is, it's like, is he going to be questioning the coach, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on where he falls. Cleveland, if he goes to Cleveland, he's going to be questioning everything.
Like, where the hell am I?
Yeah, I mean, if he was smart, he'd had drafted number 1, take the contract.
Baker Mayfield. Menzel 2.0. I'm not.
I
even
don't think he's
touching
that bad, but I think the deal with Mayfield is he's probably got the highest floor, but I think he's got the lowest ceiling. I don't.
Mayfield?
Yeah, I don't think he's. I don't think his top ceiling is anywhere near the other three, but I think overall he's got the lowest floor. He could be the one that won't bust, but he's not going to be elite.
I could see that. I just am very hesitant by anybody from Oklahoma. Oklahoma quarterbacks, that system churns them out. They tear it up in college. And if you could name me a good Oklahoma quarterback, it'd be the first one.
The collegiate system does not transfer to the NFL.
Of course, no,
There's
absolutely not. No.
See, I think you guys are all wrong. I actually think Josh Allen is going to be easily the greatest quarterback in this draft. Going years forward, he's got the strongest
because he can
arm.
throw it 100 miles an hour.
Dude, that translates to the NFL. You hit the tight windows.
He played at Wyoming, and I watch a lot of college football, and even I have to admit I didn't watch a ton of Wyoming. Now, if you watch this tape against Iowa, he has a major league arm, and okay, maybe he's playing with some less than ideal blue chip prospects that are dropping passes, but his completion percentage in the Mountain West was 56% last year, and I don't know a whole lot of quarterbacks that are going to turn that up a notch in the NFL. Not in those windows. I don't care how hard his arm is.
And most of it's due to his footwork.
Yeah.
Right. So. Yeah. And that's tough to fix. I don't know how many. Are they going to have patience? Like, he's not going to go one, right? Cleveland doesn't have the patience to.
I've seen a couple that think he might. I'd be pretty surprised.
I think he can succeed if there's a team willing to invest 2 to 3 years in really developing him, because he has a high ceiling. Big guy, strong arm.
So what team's going to invest that?
The Cleveland Browns, man.
This is when the Patriots come and sneak in.
Yeah, grab him at the 32nd pick.
No,
he won't be there at that pick.
Actually, he can go 5, because who has 5 now?
That's Denver.
Denver.
Yeah.
So I think Elway thinks he can probably do it.
That could probably be.
I think that's a safe
pick for them. You don't think they take Nelson at 5?
Well, if you want the Bears to get Nelson, he's got to pass the Broncos at 5. The Colts at 6, and maybe even the Bucks at 7. I don't think the Bucks. I think
the Bucks have a pretty solid. Back. Yeah,
the Bucks aren't solid in anything. I don't know what Bucks you're talking about, but they're.
I thought their front line was pretty solid.
I think they invested a lot in Jameis Winston.
Yeah, he's not too good either. Not too good either.
I know, but that's probably the GM's job is riding on it, right?
Yeah, that's true. GM and coach.
Yeah.
So if you're ranking these quarterbacks in this draft, who would your rank be? If say you were picking number 1, what would your thought process be on quarterback?
Well,
huge need.
The top 3 players in the draft are not quarterbacks. The top 3 players are in some order: Quentin Nelson, Saquon Barkley, and Bradley Chubb. It doesn't matter what outlet you're looking at; those are the top 3 players. Now, because teams can't find a quarterback to save their life, they got to take these guys over the better football players. Now, if it were me, since he was a freshman at UCLA, Josh Rosen has one of the livest arms, perfect feet, perfect release.
It's my dude.
I mean, I've loved this kid since his freshman year. And if you just turn on the tape of when he was just ripping apart Texas A&M in the bowl game, I mean, they were down by 35. I mean, and he had a couple lucky throws, maybe a tip here or there, but he was threading the ball. And if he wants to play, he's the quarterback, in my opinion.
Correct. But, I mean, what did UCLA accomplish? Because that's kind of beyond the quarterback, too, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's if you're an elite player in college, you should be able to get your team to win. I mean, they will have 5-6 cake games a year, and then you got to win and make the a good bowl game.
Yeah, word was he wasn't great in the locker room, and Jim Mora. You don't usually see coaches rip amateur players. But
I actually think
Josh Rosen makes more than all 4 of us.
You know what's going to happen with Rosen? The Patriots are going to trade up and get him.
Well, I might have a bold prediction for later in the show regarding that.
My pick's Darnold, but what about you, Kyle?
No, I'd kind of have to defer to Rosen being the first one taken out of him.
I would the chalk says that Darnold is going to be the pick. I think at this point it'd be a pretty big upset if he wasn't number 1. If I were Cleveland, I would take the number 1 player in the draft, and that's Barkley. And then whomever is left at number 4, that's your quarterback.
Exactly.
You've got two picks in the top 4. Take the best player, and then there's no real consensus on quarterback. And whomever it is, just
who'd they sign? Was it the Buffalo quarterback?
The Buffalo. Oh, Tyrod Taylor. That's well, okay. And then what if Josh Allen's there, and then Josh Allen can sit behind Taylor? I think Taylor's underrated. Not often do you see a quarterback get benched for Nate Enderle when they were in the playoffs. They were
Peterman, right?
Nate Peterman. What did I say?
Enderle.
I'm thinking another bum from Iowa or Idaho or I don't know. But no, I mean Tyrod Taylor had them in the playoff. Once they were the 6th seed, and they bench him.
See, to me, if I had
to be champion for Taylor, but anyway,
if I had the number 1 pick, I'm easily going Chubb. Chubb has got great stuff, athletic freak, just will destroy fucking O-lines, and I just love Chubb. I would totally take.
Freak is a bad thing?
No, I said that.
yeah.
But,
the other one, yeah.
The other F-bomb. Oh.
bleep, bleep, bleep. But anyways, yeah, Chubb, man. Chubb gets me a Chubb, big time, man. I would love him on my defense.
Brett
for sure.
Lewis, I think it was Lewis Riddick who said on ESPN that he actually had Bradley Chubb graded ahead of Myles Garrett from last year, and that's how he.
Oh wow!
He had him as the number 1 player in the draft, and
wow.
Yeah, so I mean, again, if somehow he
he'd
fell
look
to
great in
Bears,
the Bears uniform.
that I would say defensive pass rusher is the Bears' biggest need. Chubb would certainly fill that. But yeah, it's never gonna happen.
So how do you project the top 10 the kind of play out? If you were just gonna shoot something out there, if you were some bold predictions in the top 10, what do you think?
Well, I don't think 4 quarterbacks go in the top 7. That seems to be the trendy thing to say. I don't believe that's ever happened in draft history. I think even 1983 was the best quarterback year ever, and there were 5 in the first round, but only 3 in the top 10 or whatever it was. Anyway, so I do think that 3 quarterbacks go in the top 6. There may well be another trade with Indianapolis trading down. Tough to say who would be. Maybe it's Buffalo. Maybe it's New England. But I'll say that 3 quarterbacks go in the top 6. That's 3. Then Chubb, Barkley, and then now we're at
Nelson.
Nelson might go. I'm trying to figure out a way that we can get Nelson to the Bears, but it's going to be close.
Yeah, I don't.
The best way they could have gotten Nelson to the Bears is not to win an extra game.
Well, yeah.
Mike Glennon,
Yeah.
Brian Pace, Mike Glennon.
Oh yeah, you're still pissed that they ended up benching him.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because
it hurt us in the draft.
if you're gonna spend all that freaking money,
At least give us the extra draft pick.
at least I will.
If Bradley Chubb was the ROI, then maybe that was a good investment. Yeah.
Don't spend that money if you're not gonna stick to it, right?
Well, the worst part about kind of backtracking. The worst part about it was the fact that they didn't even let Trubisky get the keys to the car. They basically told him you can't throw the ball more than 5 yards at a time.
Yeah.
Or
10 times a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
pretty
what
much-
do you have? 2 games that he threw 8 times or less? I mean, it was.
Yeah, that was pretty embarrassing.
John
that we
Fox.
played the rookie, and then that
Oh,
was
yeah.
that's
Living
the
in
playbook.
1960. Yeah.
I mean, but that's a playbook. You have your rookie quarterback jump into the league and get it's like 8 times a game. Like who does that? Like that's not professional football. I'm sorry. That's literally like, oh, we have Rudy coming in. Make sure he doesn't get hurt. You know, that's what it's like. Oh.
No, I went through my top 10. I just don't see how Nelson or Chubb land to the Bears. I got 3 quarterbacks going in the top 10. The 3 I picked were going to be Darnold, Mayfield, and Allen. And I just don't see how Nelson or Chubb are going to be available. I see if Nelson's available, I think that'd be great and it'd be the best news and Ryan Pace's best move by doing nothing.
Yeah.
If
I think we trade down for sure because if we're stuck with a Tremaine Edmonds or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be really disappointed.
well,
because
and that's exactly what Pace can't do. Tremaine Edmonds is a perfect example of a Pace pick. Pure athlete, has no idea what he's doing on the field. I mean, he runs like a gazelle. He can jump over people, hits like a freight train, but he just has no idea what he's doing. Now, he's technically still a teenager. But so again, if in maybe 3-4 years from now he might be good, and Ryan Pace would be setting pins in a bowling alley somewhere because he got fired 2 years after drafting him. So no, he can't. He cannot do that.
So I think if Chubb and Nelson are both gone, I definitely think they're going to trade down. I think it's without question.
That would be
they'll
the
trade down.
smart play for them, but we know that the Bears don't always do the smart
Or
play.
he'll trade up and draft Tremaine
I
Edmonds.
feel like as long as Tremaine Edmonds doesn't put out like a viral video of him doing something awesome on Facebook,
Pace won't take
Pace
it.
won't draft. I mean, Bears. I feel like they always draft that guy that
the
does
box challenge? He's going to do a box challenge and suddenly
No, it was
the Bears
like
draft him?
the most jumping out of the pool. Who was that guy? The guy that jumped out of the pool.
Yeah, it was for a couple of years ago. He jumped out and we drafted him in like a 5th round.
Yeah,
Do you
or
remember
like-
the defensive
or
end?
Stephen Pye at break.
Sharon Gilbert.
Oh,
yeah.
how do you even remember that?
If you find yourself
The
in a
encyclopedia.
situation where it's 3rd and 13 and you need a guy that can jump out of a pool, Jerry Angelo has got your man. So I don't know what football game he's watching, but
Or what about like Stephen Pye just because he broke the bench press?
what do you think he benched like 43 times?
Drafted him in second round.
Pye being it was
He at least had a career. I mean,
yeah.
Sharon Gilbert,
I
this
think-
guy. Wow. He couldn't do anything.
Like his name to fame is literally jumping out of the pool. Like after like an entire NFL career, if that's what you call it, that's still what
But
he's
that
I have to
videos-
admit, it was kind of cool to see, but I don't know what that does on the football field. I'm just,
He can't jump out of the pool with pads on though.
yeah. How do you do it?
So do you guys foresee any massive trades in the first top 10 or anything?
I'll give you a trade in a second, but let me give you an example
Yeah.
where let's get the Bears Nelson. I think we can do it if you get Darnold, then Chubb, then Allen to the Jets, and then Barkley to Cleveland, which, man, that would be a heck of a draft for them. then Denver needs to take
Which means
a
they won't
quarterback.
do that, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it would be a heck of a draft.
If you so let's say the Jets take Baker Mayfield, which I mean
Could happen.
I certainly wouldn't do it, but he seems to be tied to them. If that happens, then I say Denver takes Allen, and then if Allen goes there at 5, could Nelson go to Indy? But
You still got
Indy
Denzel
could,
Ward
Indy could
for
just
Indy.
as easily take Roquan Smith. They could take Jermaine Edmonds. They could take a defensive back. There are plenty of defensive picks they could take, and then I don't think Tampa takes him. Maybe they take Derwin James or Fitzpatrick, and then Nelson falls to 8.
Yeah, I mean, there's Denzel Ward who Indy could take him.
Denzel Ward, yeah, that could be one. Ward or Fitzpatrick need to go in the top 7 for us to get Nelson.
Let's hope.
Yeah, well, the way I look at it is after 7, the entire draft's a toss-up for the next round. I mean, you can take just about anybody.
Yeah, do you guys have any deep cuts for the remainders of the draft for the Bears? If we draft them, they're going to be awesome.
Let's say if we get an all Notre Dame, I know we're a Chicago show here. I'm not trying to be too much of a homer, but I like Notre Dame. If you get Quentin Nelson in the first round and Equanimous St. Brown in the top of the second round, that would really do you wonders, and that would be a really high potential wide receiver, a flanker on the edge that you can throw it deep, very fast. And I mean, yeah, he had a bad year last year, but I mean, we can chalk that up to Brian Kelly just being a complete idiot. So I like St. Brown. Other guys though could be a couple of running backs. I like Ronald Jones. I like Darius Geis. And I'll give you a real dark horse is I can't remember the kid from Colorado. He's a corner. I gotta look him up now.
It's all good. I actually think Saquon Robinson Smith is one of the best deep cuts if you could get him in the 7th round.
Daquan Robinson Smith. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, 4'1", 40?
Yeah, like I think he ran
48
like a
vertical?
4.340 with like a 45-inch vertical, and
yeah.
he's just complete because he did the gas mask.
What was his
What is
Wonderlic
with the
test?
gas mask? They just like to smoke out the gas mask.
Isaiah Oliver. That's what I'm thinking of.
I draft
Wait,
by the Wonderlic test.
Draft out really.
Craig Krenzel. That's why he's the number 1 clear pick.
Yeah, when your first round draft pick is named Brent, yeah, you're probably not going to have a good draft pick.
So my one dark horse for the Bears at number 8 could be Denzel Ward, but I would say corner's pretty deep. So if you could get Nelson there or Roquan Smith at linebacker, and then follow it up with either one of the best running backs or St. Brown, maybe even Cortland Sutton, if he lasts that long, or Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk could be the next Steve Smith, very much like Christian Kirk, very fast, and then Isaiah Oliver is another one, a dark horse corner read a couple of scouts that think he could actually be the best corner in the draft, and he's got about a second-round grade on him. So I like Isaiah.
So what are the odds that the Bears
second
take any of these awesome guys you just named?
I mean, do they play at Ashland University or Kutztown College? Then no. There's no. These guys are from the SEC and the Big 12. You know, the ones you see playing in the national title each year, not playing in high school stadiums in the middle of Ohio. So.
Gotcha. So what would it take for you guys to absolutely hate this draft? Any
The Bears pass on Barkley.
Okay.
Barkley falls to the
Yeah.
falls to the Bears at 8, and they pass.
If he traded up.
Yeah, trade.
If he-
oh yeah,
Unless it's for a bona fide superstar.
If he traded up for Chubb, Nelson, or Barkley, I would kind of grit my teeth and say, why are you giving up more assets? But at least it was for a consensus top 3 pick. That
Yeah.
would at least I could, because he wants to get a bona fide transcendent talent. Mm-hmm. But I really don't want him to trade up. No.
Okay, so the expectations for Pace next year to what's the win total for the next 2 years? How many wins combined?
I would say I don't care about the win total. I care more about what Mitch Trubisky accomplished. Does he take that next step? I mean, it's a team game, right? I mean, he doesn't have the talent that the Rams had with, all the assets around them. They've been drafting for a while. As long as Trubisky makes that next step forward, he's improving, then I'm happy. And, the wins will come as Trubisky improves.
Okay. Yeah, for me, as long as they actually address some kind of positions that will try to supplement Mitch, that's all I'm looking for. Some top flight talent to be able to fill maybe an offensive line, a killer, or a wide receiver, maybe a top tight end. Whatever it is, at the end, I want them to actually complement the pick last year because that's what Pace was riding on. And if he fails with that pick, he's gone. So he better do it.
Here's a low bar for you. 3 years, not one Pro Bowler, not one player voted to the Pro Bowl. How about we get one Pro Bowler? I don't care what position it is.
Goldman?
No, and we have not had a single player voted to the Pro Bowl.
Not even Jordan Howard? No one?
No.
No?
I think he was all. We've had a couple alternates,
Yeah.
but no one's been voted to the Pro Bowl. Just give me one guy. One. Give me one player, other than kicker or punter. Man, we haven't even brought up kicker yet.
Oh, I don't know.
Here's your Ryan Pace can't even identify a kicker, and yet we're going to rely on him to rebuild.
don't even
He
bring
signed
this
like
part
6
up.
kickers already?
Oh,
Don't you guys know he's re-signed Pat O'Donnell this offseason?
It's a punter.
yeah,
I need a good kicker.
Thanks.
Oh, by the way,
Good
Emery,
Emery.
who said he looked like a linebacker, which is the reason he drafted him,
yeah.
which is great. 6th round pick.
By the way, Mitch wants to be called Mitchell.
No, I heard that was a rumor.
So
Maybe because you got too many Mitch or something in the locker room.
maybe he never deleted that tweet he had. I love titties. bleep, 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 bleep.
I'm surprised that didn't make him slide down in the draft.
That's why Pace drafted him. He's like, hey, I do too.
All right. Any closing statements on this year's draft? Kyle, anything from you?
Nah, the way I look at it is if the Bears don't at least cover 2 or 3 of their biggest needs, it's going to be a complete bust. Okay. I mean, we definitely need an offensive lineman. We definitely need defensive end. I mean, those two are the two. This is the big
Clear-cut biggest.
Yeah.
It's
right now the Bears are playing with 2.5 offensive linemen.
Yeah.
We don't have a starting left guard. We don't have one. That's why Nelson.
It sucks because I really like Kyle Long too. I mean, I don't know.
Well, if Long's healthy and you get long white hair and someone like Nelson, well, you've got
a solid offensive line.
it's assuming Long's healthy.
Well, that's a big if. Yeah.
He hasn't
Kyle
been,
Long, baby.
hasn't been healthy in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing is Kevin White gonna play a game?
Oh gosh.
I'm almost counting him out.
I'm pretty sure he's an
period.
afterthought.
Here's my theory. It's my guess. I'm saying he's gonna play 2 games, and the second game, his shoe's gonna be untied. He's gonna trip, and he's gonna be out for the year.
What happens if Mitch Trubisky gets hurt?
If Mitch gets hurt.
Well, we
Oh
can't.
my goodness.
Should we just?
That just buys Ryan Pace another freaking year.
I was gonna say then he might get a contract.
They're like, you
extension.
know what? He had really extraneous circumstances.
Butt fumble is no longer available. He failed
You know,
the PED test.
he got busted
How do
from
you?
head.
How does that guy get busted?
Why do you
for
need PEDs
PEDs?
for backup quarterback?
How does that happen?
Yeah,
When
but
can't even
they didn't
play.
announce that the PED was actually Viagra from all the girls he's with.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. That's
All right.
All right, Mike. Any final commentary?
So I think you mentioned you think Pace is going to trade down. I do not want him to trade down,
I don't either.
but I am getting the sense that if Nelson's not there, I think he will, citing that he needs to pick up more capital. So I'm going to say bold prediction, if Josh Rosen, as he's been linked to the Patriots, if he is still there at 8, I could see the Patriots trading up with the Bears. And that's all you need to know about that trade, because the day that Bill Belichick gets worked over by Ryan Pace and is going to be the first. So we're going to be really screwed if that happens.
All right, I love it. Everyone, please check out PulsarHorizon.com. Please smash that subscribe button. Don't forget we have the subscriber raffle, and we'll announce that the next time. And please subscribe, like, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.